This is R2D Tech and we're back again with another video today, this time about the Huawei Mate X2, so stay tuned. So this is Huawei's second foldable phone, and on their first foldable phone we got one huge display which folded outwards so that it basically covered the whole of the phone. Now the biggest change they made is that this time we're getting two displays, an exterior display and a much larger interior display that folds inwards, much like what we got on the Samsung Galaxy Fold Z Fold 2. And that's kind of the story of this phone. It is pretty much a clone of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. So we're gonna have to see if it stacks up. So looking at the design of this phone on the outside, like I said, it does look really similar to what Samsung has to offer, with a few changes. Now the biggest one is that the way they made the hinge, there is no gap when the phone is closed, which I think is a really nice touch. Now that also means that the phone will be much thinner when it's folded, with a thickest point of just over 1.4 centimeters. That's around 4 millimeters thinner than what the Samsung phone had to offer, which was 1.8 centimeters. Now they managed to do this by actually tapering off one side of the phone. So when it's unfolded, the left side of the phone will be much thinner than the right side. This should also mean that for right-handed people, it should be a pretty comfortable phone to hold because all of the weight is in one hand. For left-handed people, well, that's another story. So coming to probably the most important part of this phone, and that's the displays. Now, the exterior display is going to be a 6.45 inch display with a resolution of 2700 by 1160 pixels and a refresh rate of 90 Hertz. So it should be quite a nice display to use, and it's also made of glass, as you would expect. Now on the interior, it is going to be an 8-inch display, which doesn't actually sound that much larger than the exterior display, but in reality it is going to be almost twice the size of that exterior display. Now for the resolution, it's going to have a 2480 by 2200 pixels, so a nice sharp display, and also a refresh rate of 90 Hertz, so nice and smooth as well. Now, unfortunately, the interior display is going to be made of just plastic, unlike what we had on the Z Fold 2, which was a combination of plastic and glass layers. However, the glass that was on the Z Fold 2, in my opinion, didn't really make any difference whatsoever to the durability, so there's no real disadvantage there. However, it would have been nice to maybe see some kind of step up from last year where it was just plastic displays. And well, we didn't get that this time, but hopefully maybe on Samsung's next foldable phone, we will see some new technology which may offer better durability, because right now plastic does really scratch easily. So this is a big problem. Now moving on to the specs. So for the CPU, it is going to be running Huawei's own Kirin 9000 chip, which should have comparable performance to the latest offering from Snapdragon. Then for memory, it's going to be 8 gigabytes, which should be fine. Storage, a choice between 256 or 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. And then for the battery capacity, it's going to be 4,500 milliamp hours, which, to be honest, is not the largest battery and not as large as I was expecting, especially considering the size of the display. It does, however, offer 55-watt fast charging, which kind of makes up for it. So for the cameras on the rear, it is pretty much going to be the same as on the Huawei Mate 30 Pro, with a wide lens, an ultra wide lens, a 3x telephoto lens, and a 10x telephoto lens, with the added 100x digital zoom as well if you want that. For the selfie camera, it's going to be a 16 megapixel selfie camera as well as a depth sensor, and that's only going to be on the exterior display, so there's no camera whatsoever on the interior display, which means you won't be able to take selfies with that interior display or do things like video conferencing, which would have been quite helpful in my opinion, but they don't have that feature, unlike on the Z Fold 2. So for the operating system, it is going to be running EMUI 11, which is based on Android 10 still, and that still means that it's not going to have Google Play services, so you won't be able to download things from the Google Play Store. Now, Huawei have implemented some workarounds for this, so you'll still be able to access YouTube and a lot of other apps through the browser. However, obviously, this is not the same as having the actual app, which is a little bit annoying. Now, Huawei have promised that in the not too distant future, their own Harmony OS will be ready to run on all Huawei phones, which may fix some of these problems, but it still means that you will have some limited access to quite a few apps. Now, looking around the phone, obviously it will be charging through the USB-C port, and it does also have a fingerprint reader on the side, which will be useful when unlocking the phone, whether it's unfolded or folded. So that's nice. Now, this phone is only going to be available in China, and it will be selling for around £2,000 when converted to pounds, which is incredibly expensive. So the real question is, does this phone offer anything that the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 does not offer? And I think the answer to that is no. It really doesn't. Now, I was already skeptical about people buying the Z Fold 2 because I just don't think it's reliable enough or really has the use case yet. Now, coupled with a larger price tag, I don't think this phone is worth it either. There are still unanswered questions about the durability of that interior display, as well as the hinge, and also there are so many unknowns about what Harmony OS has to offer in terms of an app ecosystem. So I really don't think that anyone should really be buying this phone yet. I think it's easy to forget that this is only one of a handful of foldable phones in existence. And until they've ironed out some of the problems with this form factor, I don't think any foldable phone is really worth it yet. That's it from this video. If you liked it, please press the thumbs up button. If you loved it, please consider subscribing.